Hello, Raiders. I'm Josiane Fortin, and today I'm interviewing Laurie Herbers. Laurie is the self-published author of the book Second Chances: How I Turned Hate into Love and Found My Purpose. Thank you so much, Laurie, for being here today. And please start by telling us a little bit about you.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm a single mom. My background is in education. I have done, I don't know, so many things from waitressing to cooking to housekeeping to cosmetology like my background is so varied. But mostly I like to laugh and love. So,
Simple pleasures of life.
yeah.
And I was wondering, is it the first book that you've self-published?
Actually, it's the second, but the first one I kind of shut down for a second because I need to fix some of it. Because as I've gone on my journey, some of the things I wrote, my beliefs have kind of switched a little, and so because I was going back reading it, I'm like, oh, that's not right. But so this was actually my second book. It's kind of along the same lines, but the second one was more about my personal journey.
And do you plan to relaunch the first one, rewrite it a little bit and edit it and then relaunch it?
Yeah, I am. I'm kind of working on through it right now, but yeah, because that one was more about how we get second chances. And so it's more for like everybody kind of thing versus my story of a second chance. So similar, but different.
Yeah. And what inspired you to write that book about second chances?
The reason I wrote that, it was almost kind of like therapy for myself. Because 11 years ago, my father passed away suddenly, and I went through a divorce all within like a week. So I had felt like such an utter failure, and that my life was never going to get better than this, and this is all I was ever going to have, and I was just stuck. And that's kind of when I started my journey of understanding that we have a second chance. I don't have to stay in that place. I can journey out of it. So that's where that came from.
Did you write it because you wanted to help other people, or just wanted to share with what was inside you? What was the main goal?
Honestly, I kind of feel like it was just almost like clarity, but at the same time, can I write a book? Because it'd always been a dream. Like since I was little, I loved to write, but you know how you get in your mind that, I'm not good enough to do this or whatever. It was almost like, let's see what I can do with this. And that's just kind of what came out. So, yeah.
And how long did it take you to write it?
Not even a week.
Okay.
I literally just sat down and just started writing.
Wait, how many words or how many pages?
I don't remember. I really don't remember, honestly. But I mean, it's not a huge book, but for a first book, yeah. I wish I could remember.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to write, has that dream inside of him or her? What advice would you give them?
I would say just sit down and start writing, because sometimes when you just allow the intuition and that flow to happen, you'll be surprised what comes out of you, because within us is basically all knowledge. It's just a matter of tapping into what's already in us. So just sit down and do it.
Did you outline at all, or it was just like one big inspiration flow?
Yeah. I just sat down and just started writing, and then I do things backwards. I always have, just even in education, like, you're supposed to go write your outline. I would always have to write it, and then I could give you the outline. I was always backwards. So I just sit down and just let it go, and then just rearranged it the way it made sense.
And what would you say was the hardest thing about becoming a self-published author?
Honestly, believing in yourself, that sitting down and actually going, okay, what I have to say actually matters to someone else besides just me. I think it's, that knowledge of I can share, like my life can mean something to someone else.
What did you do to gain that confidence? Because was it like a turning point in your mind, or was it I'll just write it and see as I go? Like, how did you manage that?
I think because I'd already started a journal, because as I was dealing with my father, passing away so suddenly, I started journaling and really tapping into intuition, or depending on, what people believe in. For me, he might be God, for someone else, source or intuition, whatever that bigger picture is. I just really started listening inward and kind of dug through a lot of junk that I had in there. But yeah, journaling is an amazing outlet to get stuff out of you, and because it really gives you a chance to ponder and what does this really mean to me? So that's kind of where I was coming from.
Okay. And do you have like specific tools that you use for self-publishing, like for your grammar or like the platforms? What did you use to self-publish?
Um, well, as far as grammar, I just trusted Google Word, or not Google, but Word. Um, I let my daughter read stuff. She's really good. She had to go through a really hard gifted language arts class. And so I let her read stuff, but because my background is education, so I had to write a lot of papers anyway for my master's. So I kind of just, there might be mistakes in there. I don't know. I just trusted my instincts and just kind of went with it. And then for self-publishing, I went two routes. I did Amazon so that I could have an actual book. And then on my second one, because this was a few years later, I did Amazon and draft to digital, because that's just ebook. And so ebooks don't have the, what is that, that number on it? The little
ISBN?
Yeah, it doesn't have that. So I was able to do both. So I could hit more markets.
Where is it distributed, that second one that you talked about?
The draft to digital does like Barnes and Noble, and I think it even does stuff like out of the country. It like, because it's an ebook, it can offer it to, there's like 7 or 8, I can't remember what they all were, but yeah, it gave like a bigger market besides just the Amazon.
So you would recommend using that platform?
Yeah. It was pretty easy, because basically once you have the Word document, you just basically download it into theirs, and then you can kind of tweak it to make sure your pages line up the way you want them.
Yeah, sounds easy. And how do you promote your books?
I've been actually going on a lot of different podcasts, and I guess I have it on my Facebook, and I have it on Google. And honestly, I haven't tried really super hard. I'm kind of a believer in things kind of unfolding the way that they should. And so I believe that whoever needs that book will somehow find their way to it. They will, in essence, manifest it. If that story is something they need, then it will kind of come forth. So,
have you had international sales since you're distributing through Amazon?
Honestly, I haven't even been paying that much attention. I've been so busy starting my own business and working with clients and I've created some courses, and I don't stop. Sometimes I just have been creating. I just have so many ideas that I don't really stop and think about, oh, how's that doing? I've just kind of did it and kept going. So,
okay. Is the book related to the business you're trying to build right now?
A little, yeah, because of my journey, because of, as I was trying to understand my own thinking and my own belief system, because I came from abuse and I came from trauma, and I carried so much weight of hate and anger and guilt and shame. So the book kind of shows my story of how I came from actually just full on hating everything about myself to standing in this fullness of love that is available to everyone. Kind of as a way to understand that it doesn't matter where you are right now. Your life can do a complete 180. You can change everything. You can go from the darkness to the light. You can go from heavy, to freedom. You don't have to stay stuck. So in essence, yeah. And throughout it, I explain sometimes how, some of the things I learned on my journey, I help others get through those type of things, and understanding how to get into intuition and how to start listening to, that inner dialogue. Because actually, when you hear that voice in your head, it isn't just always you. Sometimes there's knowledge being given to you. You just have to learn to trust what it's saying, because sometimes intuition might sound completely sane, crazy, what it wants you to do. You want me to do what? And so we dismiss it because it seems weird. But when we really start to step into intuition, just doors fly open. It's just a matter of, paying attention.
So the book is not only your experience, it's also actionable, right?
Yes and no. I mean, it's kind of gives steps of what I did, but it doesn't necessarily, like I said, we're all on our own journey. So what I did may not work for you. You might have to come from a different angle. But I think it wasn't so much about, which I'm actually starting to write another book that is going to be more, here's your choice. This is what you're trying to do. This is just, I guess, more of showing that like I said, you can turn your life around. I did it. Therefore, you can do it. I'm not special in any way. I just chose every day to try to change. And so, just that action of choice, we can choose differently. We can choose joy. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's so much, here's your steps.
Yeah, okay.
But that it is possible.
And my next question was about your next writing project, and you told us a little bit about it. So what are you currently working on?
It's kind of a double whammy because it was so funny because once I wrote, well, yes and no. It was kind of unfolding at the same time. So as I was writing my second book, I got so much more clarity. I kept going back to a memory that I kept having because I actually had forgotten something that happened. And so because I remembered it, it just opened up this place. And I just kept laying there thinking, I don't want anyone to have to go another day carrying that guilt and the shame and the anger and the sadness and the anxiety. And I can remember, like, it was like for months, every day I'd wake up and I'm like, I just want people to feel this love, this all encompassing, amazing love that is for everyone. And it's in everything. And, and I wish they could have it. And it wasn't until one day I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the person. I'm the one that's supposed to be, opening my mouth and sharing. And so I literally just woke up one day and it was almost like this program just downloaded into my head. I wrote it in a day. And it took me longer than that to create the videos and everything. So I created a course called Turning Loving Yourself into a Habit. But as I've been working with clients, I've realized it's very condensed. And so, someone like me that had like decades, I'm telling my age a little bit, decades of hate, you don't just automatically in 30 days go, oh, it's great. So it's kind of twofold. So it's called Love on Purpose is now the program. I mean, it's going to expand it. So it's like a year long, but I'm also writing a book to go along with it to kind of share, some of the steps, of how to get yourself out. So it's kind of like a double whammy. So that is kind of what I'm working on.
Do you have a launch date for that new book?
No, no, I honestly haven't been working on it as much as I should. But yeah, like I started it. That I actually have some ideas like of this and this and this, because I've been taking huge notes as I'm working with some of the clients that I'm actually working with of some of the ideas of what I'm helping them to do is giving me ideas of how to go about, we're going to start here and then go to here. And then, so it's kind of, I have notes. I guess I really just need to sit down and start writing them because every week I'm taking the notes from each person because like I said, everyone's on a different journey and therefore, what seemed like was 1 week, maybe 2, because someone else might need to go kind of a different direction. So yeah.
Do you include the book in the program or is it like 2 separate things that you're going to sell?
I'm not sure how I want to do it. I may have that like as the lead, like you get the book kind of, some, like I said, some people might already be on a journey. So the book might be enough. Whereas, someone like me that had that longer background may want the actual program of me giving them a lesson every single day for a year. I mean, because it literally, like, if I'm being honest, it was a solid year of hardcore me digging in deep for a solid year before I was like, oh my gosh, it's so much lighter. So, yeah.
All right. And if people want to know more about your new business, about your books, where can they connect with you?
The best place is souloveLegacy.com. I have everything on there. I have my book on there. I even started creating some different, I don't know what you want to call them, but started putting stuff on cups and stuff because I like to create things. So I got some more stuff on there. Everything is on that website. You can contact me. You can go directly to my 30-day program. That's another thing I'm working on, I'm actually working on a free training that I thought was interesting because another thing for me was understanding, because like I said, I do things backwards. So it took me understanding the things I was doing incorrectly in manifesting and why it wasn't working for me. So I'm actually making a training of the 4 reasons why it's not working and how to take those and flip them so that so you're actually getting what you want. So yeah, all of that is on there. So yeah.
Perfect. I'll make sure to share the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.